In the final part of my series on integrity, we are now going to look at its role in the workplace. By now, you already understand that a person with integrity displays good moral and ethical values and generally does the right thing. As far as the workplace is concerned, integrity is the bedrock upon which employees develop relationships and trust, and it is one of the most important qualities that employers look for in new hires. According to a study done by Markula Center for Applied Ethics, to have integrity means that a person is self aware, accountable, responsible, and truthful, and that their actions are internally consistent. And we're going to be building on this in the coming slides. So, when it comes to the workplace, integrity as a workplace virtue fosters better relationships, respect, and confidence. It is the foundations for a high performance. And employers are constantly on the hunt for potential workers who are trustworthy, have moral conviction, and the intuition to do the right thing. And hiring managers and human resources will ask various integrity interview questions to find a good fit for the position. In fact, that is because an employer wants to make the right decision, whether for customer service or for a sales job. In fact, it's such an important thing that potential employers view integrity as one of the employee's most essential characteristics, which is why behavioral interview questions are often asked. And these questions are not straightforward and can sometimes be tough. Now, some questions that are asked are to make sure that the candidate will demonstrate integrity, and they can include things like definitions of integrity in the workplace and even situational questions like how would they respond when they are asked to share confidential information about the company or customers, or how would they respond or react if they saw a colleague or a manager doing an illegal act or something which is not ethical. Now, integrity is most often demonstrated in the workplace by acting with respect and honesty. And essentially, it's treating people as you would want them to treat you, regardless of how you're feeling at the time. And this behavior is essential for a productive and engaging work environment. Other things include the dependability, honesty, loyalty, and sound judgment, and these are essential manifestations of integrity in the job. It is crucial in the workplace because it fosters a positive culture. And a positive culture values open communication, sound decision making, and a solid moral compass that guides all acts and choices. You'd notice that in a culture that is deficient in integrity, there is going to be reckless behavior and distrust, which creates an uneasy and hostile work atmosphere. And sometimes that is actually a toxic work environment. So, integrity is also demonstrating a high level of ethical awareness and sensitivity. It is respect, sincerity, fairness, equity, decency, diversity, and individual rights are all values commonly attached to integrity. And these values are important and should be demonstrated and valued in the workplace. To talk more about integrity, integrity at work is also about committing with integrity. It means delivering on your commitments when you make them and saying no when you can't take on anything new. This, you may remember, I had spoken about earlier about how people lack integrity when they're not able to keep their word. So, for example, if a team leader shares a new project, employees with integrity need to be honest enough about their time and abilities before agreeing to take on the new project. They would also have to make sure that they understand what's needed and the scope of the project. For us as professionals with integrity, it's about knowing how to communicate. So, if you do get out of integrity, you can admit your mistakes honestly and share how you will fix the situation. Showing integrity in the workplace encourages the people around you to also be more reliable and honest, and it increases the likelihood of people trusting you. So, having told you all about integrity in the workplace and what it constitutes, what does having integrity at work mean for you? It's going to mean that you are reliable and dependable, that you are trustworthy, especially with classified information and high risk tasks, that you practice and encourage open communication with colleagues and managers, that you are respectful, honest, and patient with your colleagues, managers, and customers, and you have a strong work ethic, and strive to produce high quality work consistently. That you are responsible for your actions, especially when you make a mistake, and that you make sound decisions even under high stress situations, that you are equipped to provide high quality service to your customers, and you are comfortable even when you're uncomfortable to report to your colleagues, employees, or managers for unethical behavior. A word about that I'd like to mention about providing high quality service to your customers is that many years ago, when I was still working in the corporate world, my boss asked me to find out about a particular accounting treatment for business combinations because a high value client of ours wanted to do a merger of companies for his financial statements. Now, as far as I was concerned, my immediate response was that that particular accounting standard did not allow it. So my boss told me that could I please check and verify. So I went researching and I discovered that the client had perhaps read an older version of the standard before it had changed, and that the treatment that he wanted to do for his financial statements and group reporting was no longer possible. I informed my boss about it and I also gave him all the details. And I felt bad for our client, but the boss said, let us be honest, let us tell him what it is. The feedback that I got was that the client was very happy to know that we had integrity and were willing to tell him that he could not do what he had wanted to do, but he was equally happy to know that he was not quite wrong, except that his information was outdated. So it's very important that we maintain integrity and do not lose it for sake of money or for the business. However, it's also a vital part of holding your company accountable to the moral standards that they've set in place. And with that, I want to share a story that you may remember, that of Enron. Now, Enron was one of the world's major utility companies which took great advantage of the deregulation of the market for energy in the United States and claimed revenues of nearly $101 billion in 2000. It was even named America's most innovative company for 6 consecutive years from 1996 to 2001. But here's the catch: the revenues and profits weren't real. And, they'd created a complex and opaque company structure in order to move the liabilities off the balance sheet, and they hid the fact that Enron was actually booking revenues for multiple years ahead. And these actions hugely inflated the profits and the share price. But as I told you in earlier in the previous videos, when you build a lie, then you have to build another lie, and then it sort of starts to cascade until it all falls down. And that is exactly what happened in Enron's case. And they ended up filing for bankruptcy in December 2001. In fact, this was the largest bankruptcy in American corporate history. The scandal also took down their auditor, Arthur Andersen, at the time, which was one of the world's top 5 accounting firms and which had been in business for nearly 100 years. That came as a shock to all of us in the accounting and assurance fraternity, that how could Arthur Andersen get it so wrong. But much worse was that the Enron's company values were painted on the wall and proudly displayed in their annual report. At the time of the company's collapse, they were integrity, communication, respect, and excellence. Now think about it for just 1 minute. When you're saying that integrity is part of your company values, how can you do something else? The difference between extrinsic and intrinsic values, a complete disconnect. And here's the thing: honesty and integrity are the main pillars of trust, and they are essential components for building credibility. And as businesses strive to keep customers and employees, their credibility is the driving force that influences them to stay. So, in this particular case, Enron is the classic example of what goes wrong when you do not do business with values and your workers also do not follow what is supposed to be core values. Now, I had mentioned earlier about an unethical behavior and reporting it. Want to just make one thing clear, that when you're reporting unethical behavior, don't make it into an agenda for revenge or something, and be as specific as possible. Explain who has offended the company policies, how they offended them, and where and when you saw the action take place. Your organization would have a procedure to do this. Stick to the procedure and make sure that you yourself are not in the wrong. So, with all of this, one thing is for sure that integrity is crucial in the workplace for a variety of reasons. And here are some more. For starters, the employment process makes a person more appealing to potential employers. It promotes an open and positive work environment, actively building and maintaining trust. It encourages people to be consistent in their job and ensures that they produce the most excellent quality work possible. It allows people to develop polite and trusted relationships with their co-workers and bosses, and encourages people to communicate with them openly and honestly. It ensures that personnel follow business policies and procedures regularly and supports responsible conduct in all aspects of a person's business and job. Here's some more. It empowers workers to accept responsibility for their work and acknowledge when they're incorrect so that they can make the necessary improvements quickly. Promotes an ethical approach to decision making, which is what happened when my boss had asked me to do a bit more research into the matter, and we were able to come up with a solution that even the client could accept, and which is why our high value customer trusted us. It reduces employee turnover, employee burnout, and can prevent the development of a toxic work environment. More importantly, stronger ethical managers are promoted to leadership positions, and we encourage diversity, equity, and inclusion. But that's not all. Integrity is also an essential characteristic of gravitas and executive presence, a quality and skill that is very relevant in today's corporate world. And from one of my courses, here's an extract where I showed 10 executive presence characteristics that Dagley and Gaskins had identified, and the one highlighted in red is about interpersonal integrity. Remember, the word here is integrity. And if you want to improve your executive presence, then these are 10 characteristics that you must be able to portray. And I actually have a resource that can be useful for you, and that is Karmic Ally Coaching's Executive Presence Checklist. Here you're going to find out about the 15 professional habits that you need in order to position yourself as a leader. And it is available for free on my website. I shall give you a link to it also. With that, my series ends, and I have one question for you. It's your turn now to tell me what's your biggest takeaway about integrity, and especially its role in the workplace. This is Vatsala Shukla for Karmic Ally Coaching signing off. Bye for now.